7:30. Time to start.
See you guys on this live.
Good day, everyone. Today, good day, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone. Today we do the fifth episode of season 5. I'm Ashfaq Ahmed, and I am the anchor of PMI Mumbai Exchange program, and I'm the host for this session today. I'm also the vice president of PMI Mumbai chapter. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the volunteer effort for the exchange program. A quick raise of hand and a hi would help us to introduce our volunteers. We have Damike, who's from PMI Sri Lanka chapter. Damike, you want to say hi?
Hi everyone. I'm Damika from Sri Lanka chapter.
Thank you, Tao.
Hi, this is Tao from Taiwan. Nice to meet you guys.
Thank you. Priscilla is from Brazil chapter.
Hi, I'm from PMI São Paulo, Brazil.
Amod Pusilkar and Sunil are our backbone of this event. So they are also on the call, but not on the camera. So thank you for all the volunteers for being a part of this event and making this successful as we progress. Priscilla, you want to go ahead?
Sure, thank you. So it's an honor to greet you. Welcome back to PMI Chapter Exchange. This is season 5, events 5. Today, we have a super important topic for project management, which is ethics and regulations in project management. We are happy to have our PMI friends coming from 32 different PMI chapters from around the world: North America, Latin America, Europe, Africa, and Asia, plus many other supporting chapters around the world. Later today, we will share a registration link for the July session. Please stay with us to get early access to it. And now I'm pleased to present our exchange effect map for today's session. We have registrations from 47 countries. These countries are represented by the pins in this image. Thank you again for this warm response to this initiative. Next, please. And now, please keep saying hello to each other and networking as we begin. We would also like to ask you to let us know where you are coming from using the Menti link shared in the chat. It's important to remember you that this meeting is being recorded. Therefore, if you feel uncomfortable in any way, you can choose not to attend. Otherwise, you are welcome to continue. We also highlight that everyone here at this event is speaking on our individual capacity. Therefore, our opinions do not in any way represent the opinions of our organizations. Next, please. We also expect you will be active in this event. In addition to sharing your questions, we invite you to share an interesting quote or comment on today's topic in the chat window. And like previous events, we will have our attendee spotlight session. The best quote or comment will be featured at the end of the session, along with the name of the person who shared it. Thank you in advance for your participation. Next, please. So the introduction is over, and now it's my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker of the day, Olivier Lazare. As the Vice President of Community and Social Impact at PMI, Olivier spearheads PMI's mission to equip individuals and organizations with essential project management skills and community connection to drive meaningful social impact. His dedicated global team oversees various initiatives supporting PMI's social impact, academic and global chapter programs, including the PMI Educational Foundation and Project Managers Without Borders, for which he serves as their Chief Operating Officer. Before assuming his current role at PMI in 2020, Olivier spent more than 2 decades providing leadership to organizations to drive transformational change through strategic operations oversight, business planning, corporate vision alliance, and project excellence. Committed to giving back, Olivier has held various volunteer leadership roles, notably serving as chapter president of PMI Switzerland chapter. He sits on the board of directors for Junior Achievement Europe, embodying his dedication to empower future leaders and fostering community engagement. Olivier is a seasoned speaker and thought leader with years of motivational, strategic, and leadership speaking experience. His insights have been widely recognized and published, cementing his reputation as a trusted authority in project management. He holds a Master of Science in Project and Program Management and an Executive Master of Business Administration from the esteemed SKEMA Business School in France. Olivier, thank you for being here with us, and the stage is yours now.
Thank you very much, Priscilla. I hope the presentation will not be as long as this resume. What we're going to talk about? Can you see my screen here in the sharing? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So very interesting topic today: ethics and regulations in project management. I just added one acronym to that, which is ESG. ESG for sustainability, ESG that represents environmental, social, and governance. How an organization should behave in order to actually make a true difference, develop a competitive advantage, and make sure that we have the means to engage people, to embark everyone on the journey, the strategic journey of the organization. So the idea is to connect here with PMI's purpose, of course. Ethics, doing good, creating a positive impact on society is embedded into the purpose statement of PMI. We maximize project success to elevate our world. Maximizing project success includes, of course, to develop the proper environmental and resource management practices, the proper social practices in the way we treat people, in the way we integrate people, in the way we manage all of these interactions between our stakeholders, and elevate our world, meaning that every single project, every single program which is driven should have this positive impact on society. Not only just delivering an outcome on time, on cost, on quality, which is the usual Bermuda Triangle of project management, but also that outcome creates a positive change in society. This is our common responsibility. This is our societal responsibility as project and program managers. That connects, of course, also to the values we push forward at PMI. Make it easy, aiming higher, be welcoming, of course, embrace curiosity, but more than anything, this together we can value that shows this commitment of the community and of each member of that community to actually create that good in elevating our world through project management. Project management is the mean to achieve that. Through project management, everything happens. When people who are not so much aware about project management, or they think they are not necessarily aware of project management, ask me what project management is about, I just tell them to look around themselves at the scenery they see through their window. Every single road, every single car, every single building, every single aircraft that they can see through their window is the outcome of a project. The better we commit together to make a positive impact through this project, the better we can elevate our world. So this concept of ESG here is fundamental. It represents a conjunction between management and leadership which we have to balance when managing projects and managing the teams who are delivering and executing this projects. And the ethics aspect is here something super, super important. And through ESG and through sustainability, it's something which becomes more and more embedded into tons of regulations, national, international, American, European, Asian. You can't go through a project with any international development bank without having integrated this aspect of ESG. We have corporate sustainability reporting directives, European sustainability reporting standards, Program Management Improvement and Accountability Act in the US. All of that requires to report on ESG. And when we say ESG, the social aspect of it is key. And at PMI, we also have a commitment towards the United Nations Global Compact Program, as we support transparency, public accountability, and commitment to report on any progress towards the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. So concretely, what does it mean? Concretely, ethics, as we practice it in project management, is something that drives our decision-making. How do we drive the decision-making? By making decisions within a framework of integrity. Integrity meaning that we consider several layers of decision-making. The first layer of decision-making is our ability. Can we do something or can't we do it? Based on the capability to act. What do you have the means to do what you have to do? Which is basically contextual. If you can do what you want to do, then the next question comes, do I have the right to do it? Is it legal? Isn't there a law or regulation that prevents me from doing my intent? Which is very often at the societal level, what is imposed and enforced through the regulations. But if you can do something and it's not illegal, doesn't mean that you still have to do it. There is here another layer, which is super important in how you drive your decision making, is the ethical layer. Not only can you do it and do you have the right to do it, but should you do it, which is based upon a code that a specific group of people have determined together. Like there is a code for project management. We have the PMI Code of Ethics. There is a code for doctors. There is a code for engineers, architects, lawyers. No, maybe not lawyers. Forget about that one. But there is a set of behaviors which we intentionally choose to abide to and choose to follow or not. Now, is it enough? If I can do it, nothing prevents me from doing it, and nothing actually unethical lies within it, should I still do it? Maybe yes, maybe not. Because there is a last layer of this integrity decision-making framework, which is driven by ethics or own personal values. What you as a person, as an individual, believe is right or wrong, based on your own belief system, on your own value system, coming from your education, coming from your experience, coming from who you are as a person. So it's only when all of these four layers, all of these four boxes are checked that you can say that you behave and you make decisions in integrity and that you behave in a true ethical manner. But this is variable. This is variable because it comes from different elements, different parameters, which are related to each and every single person's background and culture. And this is also driven and relative to our cultural differences, which you have to take into account. And when we talk about cultural differences, we don't talk only about the national layer of cultural differences, which are, of course, I'm French, I live in the US, but I don't behave exactly the same way as Americans, who don't behave exactly the same way as Indians, who don't behave exactly the same way as Japanese or Brazilians, or we all have this national background. But it's not enough, because cultural differences are also fed by who we are and where do we work, what kind of group of individuals do we belong to. Each and every single organization, each and every single group of human beings has a different way of behaving and a different set of rules. This is a layer of corporate culture, which comes on the top of it. But it's still not enough. We also have different perceptions and different values based on our date of birth. And guess what? These values evolve over time. I'm certain that some of you has read George Bernard Shaw, who was saying, if you're not a communist at 20, you don't have a heart. If you're still communist at 40, you don't have a brain. So our values and our political opinions evolve over time. And we don't have the same experiences. We don't have the same approach to technology and everything. And so that adds again to cultural differences. But there is one more layer here, very important to consider to understand where people are coming from, is the individual layer of culture. The individual layer of culture, which definitely comes from your experiences, your education, your parents, your friends, how you experience love, loss, life, all of your experiences. All of that creates a unique cultural configuration for each and every single individual, which is as unique as our fingerprints. And this is indeed very much connected to how we make decisions. Because the ability is very much contextual. Can you do something or can't you do something? My father, who is celebrating 85 today, taught me one good lesson. Adjust your resources to your expectations, not your expectations to your resources. So if you can't do something, just find the resources. The legislation layer of decision making very much comes from the national layer of your culture. The ethics comes from the corporate layer, sometimes generational, but mainly from the corporate layer, because it's something which is defined by the group you belong to. And the personal values are tied to the generational and to the individual layers. So to really understand how people in your team and how yourself make decisions within a project or program or any endeavor, you have to take into account these aspects. This is how ethics actually work. This is where you have to understand the people you work with to actually find a common ground, develop your understanding of the broader picture, and finally integrate these ethical practices in your projects and in your programs. This is how you will maximize the positive outcome and impact for people, this social layer of leadership within the sustainability you will develop for your project, within the resilience you will develop for your organizations. That's basically what I had to say as an introduction to this topic of ethics and regulation. I think it's an important one to understand that ethics is not something that is fixed and so easy to perceive, that we all have a different perception of it. And it's super important in a multicultural environment to integrate these different perceptions and understand where people come from with all of that. Questions, comments, anxieties, insults, anything welcome. I can see the chat here.
Thank you, Olivier. Thank you so much for a very good, start of the day, start of the event. So as we progress in the panel discussion, we will have more questions from the audience and also from the panelists. So we'll request you to stand by, and I'll continue with the session. And in another 5 to 7 minutes, we will start with the panel discussion. Okay, I'm just sharing my screen for the next part of the event. Okay, just a snapshot of our program. The Chapter Exchange program is a PMI chapter collaboration initiative. We have 32 partnering chapters and many supporting chapters of this program, representing all regions that PMI is in today. We have recently added Mongolia and Vietnam. And we're also in discussion with the other chapter whom we will onboard soon. PMI Chapter Exchange is a virtual community of chapter leaders, a community that transcends across countries, continents, and culture. We like to put it this way. Our vision is to evangelize cross-chapter collaboration and encourage cultural diversity. It is also all about teamwork, co-creating monthly events to bring diverse perspective to a chapter event, and collaboration opportunities. And by doing this, we are building a community to share good practice within and external to the program. That is why you will notice chapter from diverse background participating in this program. But we truly believe diverse connection leads to innovative solution. Let's talk about the exchange effect now. What is an exchange effect? Flow of phenomena where diverse connection leads to innovative solution with the compounding effect, one diverse connection at a time. This is the book that we have published, and this is available on Amazon as well. So I'm going to the next slide. Damike,
Yes.
can you please? Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Ahmed. So let me introduce Guyana province. So introduce the chapter vice president. Stefania Mantilla is a general vice president and secretary of PMI Gayas, Ecuador chapter. She is a telecommunications engineer, master in project management and certified PMP. Please welcome Stefania from Guayas, Ecuador chapter for the spotlight event today. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here and joining us in this session. My name is Estefania Mantilla, and I'm here to share a few information about Project Management Institute, Guayas Ecuador chapter. Thank you for the opportunity. And let's start. Guayas is a province on Ecuador Pacific coast, and the right side you can see in the capital Guayaquil lies Malecon 2000, a waterfront esplanade lined with high rises, gardens, and restaurants. You can next slide, please. Thank you. Let's talk about some evolution through the years about PMI Guayas Ecuador chapter. We are a group of professionals committed to promoting project management as a culture and profession. In 2015, we were a project management community, and the founders had that dream to be part of this huge organization, Project Management Institute. So 2018, we managed to be part of PMI as a potential chapter, and 2020, we part of PMI as an official chapter. Till today, 2024, we are around 253 members distributed in industries like telecommunications, construction, manufacturing, and others. And also, we have around 46% of our members certified on one of the PMI certifications. Next slide, please. And thanks for the effort of members, volunteers, and strategic partners, on 2023, we got an award, PMI Latam Excellence Awards for the category Together We Can, for the International Study Session. That amazing project joined with around 21 chapters in more than 12 Latin American countries. This is a Together We Can project. So we got that award, and I had the opportunity to receive the award from Pierre Leman, CEO of PMI, and in the Leadership Institute meeting in Mexico City. And this year is not, it won't be the difference, because the news, recent news is PMI's Guayas is pre-qualified for PMI Global Award in the Chapter of the Year 2024 category. So cross the fingers for us. So the main activities to offer value to the members, such as professional talks, events, join with universities, join with non-governmental organizations such as Scouts Ecuador, such as Junior Chambers International Guayaquil chapters. As you can see, Women Project Management Leadership is one of the main events of the year, where we can highlight the impact of women in project management. We can go to the next slide. And what's coming? We are so excited to announce that for the first time on September 2024, we have the first race on the beach, and join with the Junior Chambers International Guayaquil chapter, that it's a non-governmental organization to offer trainings for soft skill development. And as you can see, it's not just a race, everyone is invited. We're going to have social and environmental activities, such as clean the beach, with the collaboration of all the attendees in the race. And after that, on November 2024, we have our project management summit, and with conference, artificial intelligence conference, and the participation of industries, and also our initiative PMs or project managers on the work. That last year we put together 100 school kits for children in need, in collaboration with Congress attendees, with the support of the Foundation Padre Marcos Paredes in Guayaquil, and donation of private companies. So we hope to see you there in Guayaquil. Everyone is invited. Next, please. All the information I want to share. Thank you for the opportunities. We are Project Management Institute Guayas Ecuador chapter. Follow us in our social media, and also we could keep in touch by on LinkedIn. Thank you for the opportunity, and see you next time.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you so much for bringing this to our audience and letting them know how and what you are doing for the chapter. I'm sure some of our chapters who are present today will be more interested in knowing what you have done, or how you have executed these programs in your chapter, and they would like to reach you and understand more from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, going on to the next segment of this event. Oh, that's the big segment. Okay, let me take a moment to introduce our moderator for our event today. Anil Sahav is the moderator for our panel discussion today. Anil is a volunteer at the PMI Gujarat chapter since last year, and has been working with their learning and development portfolio. He has played key roles in conducting PMP trainings and other events at PMI Gujarat chapter. By the way, Gujarat is a part of India, so it's a PMI Gujarat India chapter. He was also involved in Gujarat chapter's annual conference as conference volunteer and licensing with the panel members. Anil has 13 plus years of professional experience, which includes software development and leading engineering teams. Currently, he is a project program manager at Kodak. Uh, Anil, welcome to the panel, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ahmed, for the introduction. So first, I would like to thank Olivier for the great introduction on today's topic. Ahmed, if you don't mind, can you go on mute, please?
I can't hear you. Just a minute. Is everybody else able to hear Anil, or is there a problem with my mic?
Yes, we hear Anil well.
You can hear him? Okay, go ahead then.
Yeah, thank you. So as I was saying, Olivier, thank you very much for the great introduction, which was pretty thought-provoking on today's topic. We'll start by a quick introduction to our panel. If you can switch to the next slide. Our first panelist is Andre Barkawi. Andre, do you want to take a minute and introduce yourself, please?
Hi there. Hi, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. Also, I'd like to say thanks to Olivier. Merci beaucoup, Olivier, pour la très belle présentation. Et, well, we're here. We're here to discuss a very, very important topic, and I would say that today, in the world that we're living, it's an even more important topic than used to be. So it's a pleasure to be here with all of you. Such an international board, so it's going to be great. Thank you for the opportunity. Let's go for it.
Okay. All right, if we can go to the next slide, a quick introduction to our next panel member. Yes, Cecilia, if you want to please go ahead.
Yes, well, hi everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of this panel. I'm here representing Canada. I'm from the Southern Alberta chapter, and it's an honor to be here. I've heard yesterday that we have people from over 50 countries, so this is huge. I'm super excited about this talk. I'm really grateful for Olivier's presentation. That was amazing, and I think that it was really, mind-opening. So thank you so much for that. Just a little quick introduction about myself. I'm the VP of Professional Development for the Southern Alberta chapter here in Calgary, Canada. I'm a geologist and a PMP professional. I'm currently working for Emergency Response Management here in Alberta, Canada. And basically my background is in the oil and gas industry and energy industry. And well, yes, I mean, I think that this is it about me, but I just want to say that I'm really, really grateful, and hopefully we have a great discussion, and I'm excited about it. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Nihal, can we go with your introduction next?
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. It is me, Nihal Premachandra, project management professional, chartered engineer, and a contract administrator. You will see that I have about 32 years of experience in construction industry, and of course my perspective will be based on the contractor's viewpoint, and I really appreciate this opportunity and looking forward to share my experience with you guys during this discussion. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Our next panelist is James.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for a chance program to invite me to join with us. Current role is the CEO for Lead Consulting. So I'm present for PMI Vietnam chapter with the role of the project professional team leader. So I have more than 15 years experience about the project management for Heineken and Lead Consulting. So education, my education, I graduate Master of Project Management, MBA, and another certification from BMI, BMB, BBA, Lead PM, Six Sigma, and AI Management. Thank you for everyone, and thank you for.
All right. So
Anil, that's all we have. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, right. So between all the panel members, we have different regional, different countries and different regional background and different industries, which is going to be perfect for this topic to get different perspectives. So I would like to start this conversation by a very fundamental question that how do different standards are applicable or what are the different guidelines when we are trying to implement PMI's code of ethics that we all know as PMI members. Nihal, if you want to go ahead and give your opinion, we can start with you and then go to other team members.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much for this opportunity. As I told you that as a contractor, I will give you the contractor's perspective. You see, when project manager will be under pressure to compromise personal integrity and values in performing their duties in the projects, then you should refer to PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct document. Let me tell you why. You see, it will provide you a guide in making sound decisions where when you have to uphold trust in the profession of project management. Respect, responsibility, fairness, and honesty are the values forming fundamental foundational principles of the PMI Code of Ethics. These core values have been identified by global project management community as well under research. But this depends on two types of standards that you, as a professional project manager, you conduct yourself. One, aspirational standards of conduct. The other one is mandatory standards of conduct. Now, aspirational standards of conduct is that conduct that we strive to uphold. You aspire to uphold these standards. But this adherence to these standards cannot be measured. For example, respect, how do you measure it? Responsibility, how do you measure it? Fairness, how do you measure it? Honesty, how do you measure it? Although it cannot be measured as aspirational standards of conduct, it is not optional. If you go to the mandatory standards of conduct, that establish firm requirements. And if violated by a practitioner, it is subject to disciplinary procedures and can limit or prohibit practitioners' behavior by a PMI Ethics Review Committee if a genuine complaint is made. The issue here is this conduct covered by these aspirational standards and mandatory standards are not mutually exclusive. If you violate one, there is a very good chance that you violate the other as well, vice versa. Because credibility and reputation of the project management profession is shaped by the collective conduct of the individuals. Now, to do that, only way that I see is project manager must do what is right and honorable. I hope you understand the difference between aspirational standards and mandatory standards. If you have any further queries, I can respond to you. Thank you.
That's definitely interesting take that we need to protect the integrity of an entire profession and not just one individual. Would anyone else like to kind of weigh in on the guidelines or any kind of principles of PMI Code of Ethics, how to implement them?
Yeah, so the PMI Code of Ethics is something which is aspirational. We don't put it as a law, but in fact, I really believe that this is measurable. It's measurable through the engagement of your team, which you can actually measure. There are engagement surveys, engagement metrics, which are used widely across organizations that can help you doing that. And if if the behavior is not considered ethical enough, one very simple thing happens: you see people leaving. and then obviously your performance will drop. So it's directly related to this. Also, one thing which is super important is this notion of engagement through sustainability and continuous improvement on this. More and more, it becomes really a competitive advantage for organizations in terms of retention, but not only internal retention of personnel, but also attractiveness on a given market. There was a study conducted by an institute called Endelman a few years ago that showed that 39% of consumers of a particular service or product are ready to pay twice as much for the same product or service if it comes from an organization that trust. And trust is the new currency on a given market. Trust, internal and external trust, is what builds a competitive advantage for an organization. So I definitely think we can measure, and I definitely encourage to measure it.
Excellent. So not only measure, but there is perceived value as well towards our potential customers. That's very
there is a
valuable.
definite business case. 39% able to pay twice as much. That starts to be convertible in dollars.
Excellent. Okay. Any other point of view before we switch to our next question? Okay. So can you provide examples or scenarios that how do regulatory frameworks, PMI Code of Ethics being one of them, but then there are also ISO standards, other project management laws for your local governments. How do they shape the project management practice in your region or your organization? Yes. And this is open question. Anyone, Olivier, if you want to go ahead.
We can see very much ethical practices being applied in many aspects of projects. And the first one, which starts, is how not only how do you manage your team and how do you motivate them, but for example, how do you procure resources? Before joining PMI as an employee, I used to teach project management, and time to time I still do it. One of the examples which I was using was the movie The Tower Inferno. Probably a lot of you have seen that enormous project, the highest skyscraper in the world, which takes fire and kills a lot. One of the main source of that fire was actually an unethical behavior from the person in charge of procurement within that project, who took bribes to put equipment with a lower level of quality than what was required for the project. And the interesting thing in this case study, and I can tell you it happens across construction, Michal will certainly be able to confirm, it happens over construction and many other projects many times. That person didn't break any rule in the sense of every material he procured for the project was actually compliant with regulation. But the specificity of that project made the regulation and the average standard being not sufficient. And he has been asked by the architect, the program manager, to actually go beyond the standards. And for cost economical reasons and so on, he just stick to the standard. And happened that it led to a catastrophe. And this happens so many times when we see bridges collapsing, when we see roads falling. Now, I have been in France last week and I wanted to visit my family. So I left Paris by road and I've seen that a highway was closed for 2 months, which led me to have to go around and get lost in traffic because the highway collapsed. I mean, seriously? there is here something which should have been done properly, which has been done maybe not improperly, but just enough. And sometimes just enough is not enough. And this is an ethical decision. So this is the kind of things which can happen, which are related to ethics and regulation, and which have a huge negative impact on your projects.
Understood. Any other opinions, James or
Can I
Andre?
take one?
Yes, please.
Nihal here.
Yes.
Yeah, I have to give you one example where I was the project director of Maldives International Airport construction, and as project managers, you should read the environmental assessment report before commencing your project, because when they hand over the project site to you, there is a certain status of that particular environment. You have the responsibility to maintain and not to let it deteriorate because of your construction. That's an aspirational conduct standard, I would say. Now, in this situation, we were doing the excavation 20 meters away from the seashore. So I have to discharge all that water after filtering all the waste residues in that particular excavated water. Then only I'm allowed to discharge it into the sea. Otherwise, the marine life will be affected. So as an aspirational standard of conduct, so I should have by myself my honesty and how to do it in a right way. Otherwise, it could have been a big disaster. Now you can see most of the rivers are getting the effluent from factories and other manufacturing plants. Why? That is why the environment is polluted. So this type of aspirational standards is difficult to measure, because trust and value that the person has is important in conducting these standards and following the PMI Code of Ethics. Thank you.
Makes sense. Okay. Before we switch and move this conversation further, a humble request to all the participants. If you have any questions based on the conversation so far, or any question related to today's topic, please post your questions. Once we get a chance, we'll ask these questions to our panelists and give you, try to get you answers for your questions. So please use the comment section to share your questions. The next question is very similar to what Olivier and Nihal, you started moving the conversation towards, is what happens or what are the negative impacts towards your project or to your organization if you fail to adhere to the ethics standard or local regulations. And we already got some examples, but it kind of ties in that why you should try to adhere and what are the cases when you fail to do so. And again, Cecilia, since you are very much involved in oil and gas industry, involved with the safety, I would love to get your opinion on this topic.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Anil. Yes, I think that's, well, this is really important, right? We have to follow regulations, standards, codes of ethics. And what happens when a business doesn't follow that? Well, that's basically just puts in risk their entire organization, right? And it's, you know, it can have legal aspects, legal issues, but it also can have reputational risk, right? We need to think of the organization as, you know, trying to bring value to the society. It's a business, so we want to have revenues, we want to have values, but at the same time, reputation is also in an investment, right? That way we are getting more clients, we're getting more people involved, and we don't want to risk that. So as organizations, I would say that it's really important to follow all regulations, all standards. And at the same time, something that Olivier was saying is just let's try to have that continuous improvement, right? Sometimes regulations or standards are not enough. So we need to be challenging our teams, ourselves as leaders, to try to see if we're finding gaps, what is the best way. Sometimes, we don't have that power in the organization to change things, but since we have leadership position as program managers or project managers, we know how to, or who to talk to, higher managers, CEOs, VPs, and sometimes companies have ethical ethics committees, or responsible for health and safety. So it's really important that anytime we see a gap, anytime we see a challenge, anytime we see a way that we can make things better, we approach to the right person and we try to implement that change. So continuous improvement is a word that Olivier said, and it brought my mind into thinking that this is something that we are all the time doing, and we need to be flexible and be able to change to be better.
Makes sense.
Yeah, totally agree on that. And as I said, trust is a new currency of success and competitiveness, because everyone does the same products and services as you do. Sorry. The lifespan of any innovation on a given market is 3 months. It takes 3 months to your direct competitor to make the same thing as you do, better, cheaper, faster. So what really makes a difference is trust. And a reputation takes 20 years to be built and 30 seconds to be destroyed, because trust is actually a particular type of feeling, because giving trust to someone is a conscious decision, but distrust is an emotion. And once you have triggered that negative emotion, being faced with a situation produces negative thoughts within individuals, and this is super difficult to combat. So trust is something which is built over time, consciously. Distrust is something that happens within a snap of fingers, and rebuilding after that is super long and super difficult.
On top of what, I'm sorry.
Please go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was about to ask if you have any anecdotes or any example or any additional opinions.
Can I take it?
Yes.
Yeah. This conflicts of interest is a bigger problem in construction industry. As an aspirational standards of conduct of fairness, project manager should not put himself or others in conflict of interest situations. It is common in contracting. The contractor hires one of his relatives or friend as a subcontractor or supplier, receiving kickbacks. Now, as a project manager, proactively search for potential conflicts of interest situations and insist that they should be resolved by highlighting potential conflicts of each other. The problem is the kickbacks. Now, these kickbacks will negatively impact projects because that involves millions of dollars. What happened? The contractor is running out of his budget to complete the project. So he will start cutting corners to reduce the quality of the deliverables. So this is a negative impact if you don't follow the proper PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. Thank you.
Yeah,
I was just
that's
going to say,
definitely interesting take. Andre, please go ahead. I was just about
no,
to
sorry,
say.
I was just going to say on top of that is that team members, besides what Nihal just said and Olivier, team members are more likely to be motivated and engaged when they feel that they are working in a fair and ethical workplace. That's something that you see immediately. I mean, we have the responsibility of changing that, or at least to implement that too, so people can see the way we should work, the way we should work right. There's also a cultural sensitivity and inclusion, because as we prioritize ethics, we are more likely to respect diverse perspectives and to create an inclusive environment for everybody. So it's really the basis, the foundation of every project, in my opinion. This topic that we are discussing.
Yeah, and I see a question here in the Q&A in the Q&A feature here in Teams, which makes me think of that. If you remember that slide which I showed with the integrity model, what is the most important is the values layer, because it's the only one you cannot mess up with. When you make a decision in doing anything, the ability layer, yeah, you can mess up with that. I mean, if you don't have the resources to do something, let's go and find resources, as simple as that. The legal aspect of things, you can also deal with it. If something is illegal in one place, it might be illegal in another place. The ethics layer is also something which you can decide consciously to adhere or not. I mean, in total honesty, if you are accused of having infringed the PMI code of ethics, you just go and get a Prince2 certification and you're still a certified project manager. And I also know people who will not necessarily commit to sign up the code of ethics for legal reasons in their perception. But the values one is the one that allows us to look at ourselves in the mirror. It's the one which confronts us to ourselves, and this is the only one you can't ever compromise with. And this is the lens, this is what builds the lens through which you will look at all of the others, because the legal or the ethical layers, it's in fact, when talking in project management terms, it's in fact a risk management decision. Do you take the risk? Is the risk worth it or not? How do you balance that? But everything finally relates to the value, and I like that because everything finally relates to what the individual, the human being, has at heart. And this is what drives decision. Because despite of whatever people might think, decision-making is absolutely not a rational process. We try to rationalize it, but it's absolutely not a rational process.
I couldn't agree more with Olivier. And just to answer also, to try to answer the questions from Drew Pradeep, I guess, there's one thing that's moral and one thing that's ethics. Moral are the beliefs, like the principles about right and wrong that we hold as individuals, often based on cultural, religious, or personal values, as Olivier just said. Ethics, on the other hand, refers to the rules and principles that define what is acceptable behavior within a specific context or profession. That's why it's often codified in form of a code, like the code that we have as a project management institute. That's just to clarify this point. I think it's important.
Makes sense. Okay, I can take the audience question next. So we have a very interesting question from Robert Dushek. Robert asked that how we as a PMI community provide an ethical leadership over AI generated content, who is responsible for artificial intelligence generated reports. And we can take this question a step further and try to understand what are kind of ethical guidelines that exist or should be thought about when we take AI into consideration, be it for report generation, content generation, or project management related decision making. So excellent question, Robert. We'll try to get the answer from our panel members.
First thing first, I'm very much for the usage and integration of AI. I mean, it's a huge facilitator in our daily job. I I use it every day. I mean, my agenda is managed by an AI system. By the way, if you ask a meeting and the meeting is declined, it's not me, it's the AI. So don't blame me. Yeah, it's one thing which we have to understand is that artificial intelligence is actually an abuse of language. These systems are not intelligent. They can be called expert systems if you want, because they can make connections within a very limited flow of information or within a very large flow of information, depending on the situation. But they are not intelligent in the sense that they are not making decisions. So the ethical piece of that will always rely on the human, on the individual behind. The thing can propose you different solutions, different scenarios, but it always will be up to you to make that decision. What would be totally unethical is to let the system driving freely the decision-making process, because it's incapable of that. Because again, a decision is an emotional process. It's not a rational process. When I have a friend of mine who worked in an AI lab to develop the automated driving system for automated cars. I will not tell you the brand. And to know if they have achieved automated driving, they have a very simple test. Of course, I reassure you, it's a simulation. They don't do that. But they put the system in a situation where it can either kill a pedestrian or kill the driver. A human being would be able to make that decision. And there is no wrong or right decision here. You have only the choice about, do you kill the driver or do you kill the pedestrian? So a human being will be able to make a choice, A or B, whatever, it doesn't matter, but a human being will be able to make that choice. The machine is not able to make that choice. In 99% of the time, either it kills both or it shuts down. Oops, sorry, balloons. Or it shuts down. It shuts down. Why? Because you put the system in an impossible solution. It can't find a solution to that dilemma. At equal value, it doesn't make any choice, as a human being will be able to. So remember that the system does not make the decision. The decision always lies on the human being.
I was going to say that there is an interesting site from MIT that is called Moral Machine that talks exactly about Olivier is talking about, that it does exactly this kind of tests that we can experiment. Actually, they were trying to see what people are choosing, for instance, between killing the driver or killing a pedestrian or killing like a mother with a dog or two athletic guys walking the streets on the place that they are not supposed to be. Or these kinds of situations. That's really, it's a test, an interesting test to see this kind of decisions that cars would have to take.
Interesting. Would any of you be able to provide examples of any kind of AI-related policies that are already in effect in your organization as kind of a guide to our attendees? Like what is okay to go ahead and apply AI for and what is not okay?
Not exactly a policy, but there are some good practices that I can mention. Like, for instance, we're talking about systems that should be designed in a way that their decision-making process are transparent and somehow understandable for users. That's even very close to what the European AI Act is proposing. We're talking about explainable AI here, because as you know, some decisions that we got from AI, mainly from deep learning, they are not really explainable as they should be, right? If you say something's happening, it would be nice to understand why the machine say that would happen, or or if you say it's a cat, if there's a 73.5% chance that this is a cat, it would be nice to understand why the machine said it's a cat. The cat is no problem at all, but if it's a cancer, then it would be more, I mean, it would be interesting to understand why. Another thing is to promote accountability. I can talk a lot about it. That's what the Brazilian Act is trying to promote, the Brazilian AI Act, as well as the European one, to have audit trails, responsible use policies. That's basically develop policies with the responsibilities of the AI outcomes. Of course, there are also all the bias and the mitigation strategies, like reviewing training data, have a more diverse data set, more diverse registers to work with. Of course, there's always bias detection, mechanisms of correction, and so on. What else? One thing that, in my opinion, is very important, and that's the kind of thing that I've been working with for a while, is it's the basis of everything, which is education. It's to engage stakeholders within this process, because people has to understand the opportunities as well as the limitations of the technology. As Olivier just said, this is not intelligent nor artificial. So we should understand why. We should understand exactly how to use it, what the power that we got from it. I'm also a heavy user of AI in general terms. So the rest of it would be like ethical guidelines to align AI with the organizational values, to be sure that it's compliant with legal standards, regulations of your country, or if you're following some other kind of regulation. And when the experience that I just had with a huge meeting with people from all over the world talking about regulations and AI and everything, one thing that became clear to me is that organizations, for instance, the Fortune 100 organizations, were all trying to have some kind of AI on their C-level. If it's not AI, it's a CDO, like a chief data officer, or someone that knows the business as well as something from the technical part of it, in order to have something, a process that's more fair, and that will not harm in any way the company's image nor their customers, of course.
Makes sense. James, please go ahead. You have.
Okay, AI always hot, right? So I have the 4 comments about the ethical leadership for AI. The first one, I think that is transparency. So it means that advocate for clear disclosure of AI users. Everyone interact with the content should know it's AI generated. The second one is bias mitigation. Be aware of potential bias in the AI training data and actively work with mitigate them. Promote diversity dataset and ongoing bias check. The third one is a human oversight. Emphasize the importance of human review and editing of AI-generated content. AI should replace human judgment. It should be a human it. And the last one is accountability. Establish clearly accountability for the content accuracy, fairness, and potential harm. I think so for item in the ethical leadership for AI. Thank you.
Thanks. We have very interesting question from another one of our attendees. This is a question from Victor Pedoman. Pedovam. I'm sorry for mispronouncing. The question is it mandatory for PM to budget for, they use an example of complying with the EU water quality standards? is it mandatory or should they budget for it if they are not doing that project in Europe? So in other words, should you plan or budget for higher standards that you use in your home country when you're doing your project elsewhere where the standards are not high enough?
Yes.
Okay. You should. That's a simple answer. Yes, you should. Again, I think everyone will agree with it. As a important anecdote, in my country of India, we have had industrial accidents because of same reason where companies which are not from India, they would not follow the same amount of standards. And they definitely in longer run, they suffer in terms of reputation. So absolutely. I hope the audience member got their answer. Everyone in the PMI community is in favor for that. We can take another question.
Sorry, Anil.
Yes, please.
I was just going to say that that's a good example of what I just said before about the differences between moral and ethics. Because maybe you can have an ethics of your environment, of your context, but your values, your internal values say something else. I believe we should respect that.
Okay. Another question we can take. There are so many questions related to AI, but I think we have answered most of those, or at least covered what falls under AI, what doesn't fall under AI. There is a question that's related to ESG as a background for project management with reference to ethics and regulation. So the question is from Mr. Deepak. When you have to pick between environmental, social, and government, is there a particular factor that kind of has a more weightage over the other, or they are all work together? Essentially, that's what Deepak Vichara is trying to ask.
It's a matter of corporate and social responsibility, but all of those things are embedded one into each other. Project management. Project management is a sustainable practice by definition. I mean, the idea of properly managing a project, and that's why we have metric systems like earned value management, is about how do we manage our resources. It's very easy to understand that if you are over timeline and over budget on your project, it's a bad thing. But guess what? If you are below timeline and below budget, it's also a bad thing and not a sustainable practice. PMI has this project of the year award, and a few years back, I was on one of the committees reviewing the applications, and you always had this companies coming with, oh, my project has finished 20% on the budget and 6 months before timeline. And I was like, sorry, this is actually bad planning. Because if you don't use your entire set of resources, what happens is that you have potentially mobilized resources, blocked resources, which could have been used somewhere else better to produce an additional value. So your CPI and your SPI should be one, shouldn't be 0.8 or anything like that. And the idea of managing the resources, the E in ESG or environment, is to use the right set of resources to the rightly defined outcome and balance those things. Now, the S is about productivity, is about engagement, is about leadership, is about respect, is about diversity and things like that. You can't have a team who is mistreated and not engaged properly managing resources. That doesn't work. And to support that social aspect of ESG and that environmental and resource-related aspect of ESG, you need to have the proper supporting governance, the G. So this triangle of environment, social, and governance, it's a cycle, in fact. It's not so much of a triangle than a cycle. All of these things feed one each over in order to lead to project success at the end. And PMI is now conducting a research on what project success means. And I'm 120% convinced that sustainability is something that will play a huge role into the definition of what is the success of a project. So not only delivering on time, on cost, and on specifications, but also delivering something which has been properly done and managed, and which has a long-lasting positive impact on your environment.
Makes sense. Okay. And again, we continue to get very good questions from our audience. This next question is, as a project management professionals, what are some of the good trainings available or resources available that can help us stay updated with evolving ethics standards and regulatory requirements? If you can give any sources or any pointers where project managers should look for this training or resources.
Yeah, thank you. Can I share with my my sharing?
Yes, please.
Okay. Hey, where is it?
We're still seeing your
James, are you trying to share something?
yes, he's trying to share a presentation. James is trying to share something.
Yeah, I would like to share, but I will send you in the box, and you can help
That's
me.
fine. Yes, please go ahead and share with us.
Okay.
So meanwhile, Anil, can you take the next question while we are doing this? We are waiting for this.
Absolutely. So while we wait for pointers on the training resources, we can jump on to the next question. And it has to do with you as a project manager. How do you set standards for your own team to ensure that there is a culture of ethics within your organization and your team? What as a project manager you should do within your team?
I can respond that, Anil, if you want.
Yes.
So as project managers, we are representing our corporation, right? So first of all, I would say it's really important to have a clear understanding of the company's core values, right? And for the organization, those core values are not something that it's been, kept hidden somewhere. It's something that it's really important to have been communicated to the employees on a regular basis. In my company right now, we have the core values on the wall, so all employees can have that in mind and always be reminded of how the company and our organization want us to, behave in a way, and what is our core values to move forward the business. But at the same time, as project managers, I would say that it's really important to lead by example, right? We are representing our organization, so we need to behave the way we want our teams to follow us and to, behave. And also, I think it's important. We are the leaders for our team, so we need to create that safe environment that Olivier was talking about at the beginning. And understanding, we are right now, our world is really complex. We are working with people from many different parts of the world. Here in Canada, we have a lot of diversity. So it's really important. I wrote down that cultural configuration that Olivier was talking about at the beginning, because we need to understand how people communicate, and to create that safe environment as project managers, we need to know what are our cultural differences. And Olivier was saying, okay, I'm from France, but I work in the US, so but I behave as, you know, the standards I was raised by. So, and I am the same here in Canada. I'm not from Canada, I'm from Argentina. So I have my own set of values. But I am constantly trying to learn about my team and what is the best way to communicate with them. What is the best way for me to create this safe place where anyone can come and talk to me if there's an ethical dilemma or if there's any issues that they have. So I would say that the organization can do many things, like have their code of conduct and have their core values, but a lot of things, training. But ourselves as PMs, we need basically to lead by example and just do whatever we think it's best for the team. So I think that basically that would be it.
Well, that's excellent. Being kind of a leader when it comes to ethics as well, that definitely sets a good example. James,
Yeah.
if you want to go ahead with helping us on how to get ourselves up to date, I believe we will have one of our let me see. So one of our volunteer will be sharing screen. Ahmed is sharing screen. Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. I'm come back. I'm sorry for this direction. So about the training and resource for PM to follow up and stay updated about the ethical and standard and regulation. So next slide. So I would like to sharing about to you some organization over the world. We talk about the ethics. The first one is ECI. So the first one, the third slide. Okay. You can search here. So the second one is Energy Council. The third one is IPE from UK, and another one is the last one we have mentioned today. So it's the PMI. PMI, we have one tool kit for practitioner, project manager to follow up the ethics and the regulation. So I would like to go fast, very fast, and focus the toolkit this one. So the next slide, Anu. So we go back ACI, so we can research and looking up after the presentation. So the next slide, we focus the PMI toolkit. So I think it's Oliver. You know that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Okay.
Mm.
So this is a guideline. This is a guideline for PMI practitioners to follow the ethics, or we will involve about the ethics. So this toolkit will be give you the understand, identify, and proactively manage ethical issues. So the ethics toolkit is built from another volunteer team. So you will see, and the link, everyone can log in and download for free about this toolkit. So another regulation, we have to separate two key up regulation, external and internal. External, this is the government regulation. We can follow up the government, some organization, their website or internet or any the report from the government. Another regulation is from the industrial. So the next slide, I know. You can also check with the expert or another channel. You can find any information about the industrial regulation. And another one is the internal. Internal regulation is mean that your organization, your company, policy and OPA and EEF, I think so. So we follow the vision, mission, core value of your company and all information about your company. So we find internal regulation. That is, I think so. We just come back and remember the word of PMI ethics toolkit. This is a tool for everyone to follow the ethical. Thank you.
Thank you, James. That was very helpful. We'll see if we can try and share this with all our attendees as well, this presentation, if you allow us.
Yep.
I believe we are reaching our end of time for this meeting. If any of our panel members have any closing remarks, if they want to add something on top of it before we end.
Yeah, just one thing which comes to my mind after what James was sharing. Ethics is also the basic of communication and conflict resolution. I mean, there is no teamwork without a conflict. From the moment you put two individuals into the same room, you generate a conflict. Now, ethics and the ethical way of getting into that conflict and the understanding of where people are coming from, so that cultural configuration piece can help you in that, is also a way of transforming the conflict into something, into a positive energy, which finally relates to risk management. So all of that is deeply, deeply involved into everything which we're doing as project and program managers. It's super important.
Thank you. Cecilia, any final thoughts?
Just basically saying thanks to everyone for being here. We have 350 people connected, so thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. And the only thing I would like to say from my side is just remember that, you know, we are leaders and we need to lead by example. So whatever ethics we bring to the team is something that it's going to be copied, and it's something that we can translate and maybe share with every member. So this is something that, you know, we are representing PMI, we are representing our organizations, and we need to have that in mind and just act in a professional way anytime, like all the time we have to work on the team. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Andre, do you want to add something?
Yeah, no, just to say that, just to say thank you for everybody for being here. Thanks PMI for the opportunity. I believe that this topic, again, it's a topic that sometimes it's not that we forget, but that we don't think it's so important as some other technical stuff. And in my opinion, as I said, this is the foundation of everything. I believe we are agreeing it here. And in a crazy world that we live today, like, you know, things happening in a crazy way all over the place, ethics and this kind of worries and these kinds of discussions are very, very, very important to stay sane, to stay, you know, not to get crazy and to have a direction of where you're going, whatever you're doing, and mainly as a project manager. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you. And Nihal, any final thoughts for our audience? Nihal, you are on mute.
Thank you so much for the opportunity that is given to me to express my views as a contractor, that we have faced a lot of ethics issues, and I always go with PMI Code of Ethics to get the guidance, and that is there always. So if people are interested in following certain standards, of course, they should follow this PMI ethics standards. That's my point of view. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. And we'll switch back to Ahmed. Ahmed, thanks for this opportunity on this very interesting topic to have a discussion and giving us the platform.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
That was really
Thank
a
you.
good learning on the topic of ethics, and I'm sure Tao has collected a few points which he wants to share. Tao, you want to share your screen, please?
Yeah, so okay, let me do this.
Yeah, while you share the screen, for the panelists and for the speakers, we have a certificate from the PMI Mumbai chapter. I'll be sending you that certificate in an email tonight. You can post it on your LinkedIn and share it as part of this event. Thank you so much. We are really grateful that you made some time and helped us understand this topic in detail.
Can you see my screen now?
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank
yes,
you. Thank you. See you later. Yeah. Thank you so
Yes.
much.
So can you see my screen? Hello. So I make do the outro for this event. So thanks for having, thanks for you guys attending this event. And this is the PMI Chapter Exchange outro and for the season 5, event 5. Thanks for the favorite quote. Of course, everybody will be agree. Will be the trust is the new currency. It's nowadays, and it will be the highest ethical. You can build a trust in a long time, or you can destroy it in one night. And for the for the very equal to chapter, and some highlights will be shared. Like 2020, it will be official chapter PMI chapter. The 10 plus will be PMP, and the 3 the woman project management leadership is the most memorable thing I remembered. And also the PMI LATMM Excellency Award 2023, and also the 100 School Kids Sports. And tonight we have over 32 people from 32 countries, over 350 people attended, and over in 5 continents. And we are going to do the excellency, and just do the acronym here. So the excellency will be the striving for the excellence in the ethical standard for the project performance. As for transparency will be the being open and clear about project processes, decision, and outcomes. Humanity, recognize and learning from mistake and value others' contributions. Inclusive, ensure the diverse perspective and are considered everyone is treated with respect. Courage, standing up for the ethic principle, even if face adversity. And sustainability, make decisions that support long-term environments, social and economic health. That's what my input for today. And also we'll have our quote. The quote of today will be the Deepak, be sure. And what he says is the project manager is an ambassador and follower of ethics and regulations to take care of ESG factors for projects we help maintain. Congratulations, Deepak. That's my take.
Thank you. Thank you, Tao. That was good. We'll just go to the closing section of this event today. And I'm sharing my screen. The exchange effect that we shared in the beginning, we have members from more than 40 countries registered. There are some members who made an effort to post their country name in the Menti chat, and these are some of them. And here's the feedback QR code, and I will wait for a few seconds, around 20 seconds. I'll request the members to scan this and share their feedback for the event. We would definitely like to hear your response, and anything that you think can be done better or can be improved. We will be more than happy to learn that and improve in the upcoming sessions next month. I'll be sharing the link for the upcoming sessions in the next slide. So I'll just wait for a few more seconds for members to fill in their feedback. We will share the feedback URL in the link in the chat below. I will just paste it here so that it becomes you can paste here. There are a few sections that we have where we would want to hear from you and see how we can improve. This is your forum, your section, and we would want you to participate, be more involved. So here is the PDU code for the event. I will paste the PDU code in the chat for people who are present today so that they can register claim their PDU codes. Next we go to this is the exchange chapter exchange, the next chapter exchange program with the role of emotional intelligence in project management. While we discussed ethics today, we want to discuss emotional intelligence in project management in the next section on 19th of July, same time. It's the third Friday of the month, and we have identified panelists from Bangladesh, Ghana, Mexico, Jalisco, Turkey, and UAE chapters. I'll take a moment to thank all our members, the attendees, and also the volunteers. A heartfelt thank to all the attendees who registered for this event and also made effort to attend this session. We thank you for giving your time and attention today. We will be back again next month. Follow our social media handle for more. Till then, stay safe, stay healthy, and see you soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Great session.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.